My name is Erin Blake, and 3 hours ago, my husband Trevor abandoned me at a rest area in the pouring rain, 41 miles from home, because I asked about missing money. Consider this your lesson, he said, locking his BMW with that cold beep before driving away. What Trevor didn't know was that I'd hired an ex-FBI bodyguard 6 months ago, and Marcus Stone was already parked behind the abandoned gas station, recording everything. I didn't scream, didn't beg. I pulled out my phone and said to the darkness, 8 months of evidence, time to use it. Headlights swept across the wet asphalt. The black Suburban emerged exactly as planned. Marcus Stone stepped out, 6'4", former military, earpiece glowing blue in the darkness, holding an umbrella and a tablet already recording everything. "Did you get his license plate on the dash cam?" I asked. Every angle time-stamped, GPS tagged. His voice was professional, calm. "The abandonment is documented." This wasn't family. This was a hired professional, a former FBI investigator turned private security. I'd hired him 6 months ago when I realized Trevor wasn't just controlling, he was dangerous. "He's watching from the trees," Marcus said without looking. "Silver BMW approximately 200 yards north. Should I approach?" "No, let him think I'm stranded. Let him see you and panic." Trevor's engine roared to life. His car lurched forward, stopped, then sped away in the opposite direction. "He's running," Marcus observed. "He always does when confronted with someone his own size." I stepped into the Suburban. "Did you get the audio?" "Crystal clear. Consider this your lesson at 8:47 p.m. Abandonment in hazardous weather conditions. The prosecutor will love this." 6 months earlier, after Trevor had grabbed my wrist hard enough to leave bruises, I'd made a decision. The next day, while he was at work, I met Marcus Stone at a coffee shop downtown. "I need protection," I'd said, "but more importantly, I need documentation." Marcus was expensive, $500 a day, but he was worth it. My grandmother had left me a separate inheritance that Trevor didn't know about. $50,000 in bonds that matured last year, sitting in a safety deposit box he'd never found. Ironic that the money meant to secure my future would be used to document my husband's crimes. Former FBI Financial Crimes Division, private investigator license, bodyguard certification, and most importantly, he understood domestic abuse cases. "We'll build an airtight case," he'd said, sliding a contract across the table. "But you need to act normally. Don't let him know anything's changed." So I played the submissive wife while Marcus shadowed us, documented Trevor's movements, recorded his threats from a distance, built a file that would destroy him. The bruises had been the wake-up call, but the financial abuse had been happening for years. Joint accounts that only Trevor monitored, credit cards that disappeared when I spent too much on groceries, investment statements I was never allowed to see. "Your husband has a pattern," Marcus had said after 2 weeks of surveillance. "He's not just controlling you, he's hiding something bigger." That's when we started digging deeper. Marcus didn't just protect me physically, he investigated Trevor like the federal agent he used to be. Bank records, hidden accounts, a shell company called Apex Reserve LLC that received mysterious transfers every month. 5,000 here, 8,000 there, always round numbers, always from our joint account. "This is embezzlement," Marcus said one day, showing me spreadsheets he'd compiled. "But not from you, from his clients." I sat at my desk at Dayton Community Hospital, reconciling billing discrepancies. Numbers don't lie. That's what made me good at my job. Find the pattern, trace the error, fix the system. 28 years old, and I could spot a mismatch in seconds. But the patterns at home had taken longer to see. It started small. My keys moved from where I'd left them. "You're getting forgetful, Erin," Trevor would say, finding them in places I'd never put them. the coffee maker reprogrammed, credit cards disappearing from my wallet, then reappearing days later. You need to be more organised. Marcus documented everything. Hidden cameras in my purse showed Trevor taking my cards while I slept. GPS trackers on my car revealed he was following me to work, to the store, to my mother's house. He's building a case that you're unstable, Marcus explained. Classic gaslighting, make you doubt yourself, document your confusion, use it in divorce proceedings. But Trevor had underestimated me, and he'd never suspected I'd hire professional help. Your husband is meeting someone, Marcus reported 3 months into our arrangement. He showed me surveillance photos. Trevor entering hotels during supposed client meetings. Always the Marriott on High Street. Always room 412. Who is she? Nina Rodriguez, his assistant. 25 years old. He's been seeing her for 18 months. 18 months. I'd been sleeping next to a stranger for 18 months. Marcus drove me to a secure location he'd arranged. A corporate apartment used for witness protection cases. No credit cards, no paper trail. Completely off Trevor's radar. Inside, I opened my laptop. Marcus had helped me create an encrypted folder called Weather Reports. Boring enough that Trevor would never look if he found it. Inside were 8 months of documentation, bank statements showing transfers to Apex Reserve LLC, hotel invoices charged to the shell company, audio recordings of Trevor discussing special client accounts after too much wine, photos of him with Nina, GPS logs of his movements, everything time-stamped, everything verified. The FBI needs to see this, Marcus said, reviewing the evidence. This isn't just adultery and domestic abuse. This is federal crime. He was right. The patterns were clear. Trevor was stealing from elderly clients, using their trust to fund his affairs and his lifestyle. Mrs. Chen, who'd lost her husband last year. Mrs. Williams, fighting dementia. Mrs. Kumar, too proud to admit she didn't understand the statements. How much? I asked. 3.8 million that I can trace, Marcus said. 17 victims documented. Probably more. My phone buzzed. Trevor. Where are you? I didn't answer. Let him feel what confusion was like for once. He's going to escalate, Marcus warned. Men like him don't handle loss of control well. Good. Let him make mistakes. The next morning brought chaos. Trevor had called everyone. My mother, my boss, my friends. All with the same story. I'd had a mental breakdown. I'd disappeared. He was worried sick. Marcus had anticipated this. Check your email. A message from my boss. Erin, I know what's really happening. Take all the time you need. Your job is safe. Marcus had briefed her 2 weeks ago with my permission. Shown her the bruise photos, the financial records, the gaslighting evidence. She'd been through something similar 20 years ago. Your support network is stronger than you think, Marcus said. Trevor's about to learn that. At 9 a.m. sharp, we walked into the federal courthouse. Marcus had arranged everything. His former partner, Tom Chen from the SEC, was waiting. Along with Rebecca Hayes, one of the city's most ruthless divorce attorneys. Mrs. Blake, Tom said, shaking my hand. Marcus has briefed me. What you've uncovered is part of a larger investigation we've been building. Your husband isn't working alone. My stomach dropped. What do you mean? There's a network, fund managers across 5 states, all using the same playbook, targeting elderly clients, particularly widows. Your husband is one of 12 we're investigating. 12. This wasn't just about Trevor and me. This was about systematic predation. We need your help, Tom continued. Your evidence is the most comprehensive we've seen. With your cooperation, we can take them all down. Judge Morrison's chambers felt smaller than a courtroom, but twice as intense. The emergency hearing had been scheduled for 1 p.m. Trevor sat across from me, his attorney scrambling through papers. He hadn't expected this, hadn't expected me. But what really shook him was Marcus, sitting behind me in full tactical gear, arms crossed, eyes never leaving Trevor. "Who the hell is that?" Trevor had hissed to his lawyer when we'd entered. "Marcus Stone," his lawyer had whispered back, face pale. "Ex-FBI, now private security, very expensive, very thorough." Trevor's confident mask cracked. Rebecca laid out the timeline, clean, precise. Bank statements showing transfers to Apex Reserve LLC, hotel invoices matching supposed client meetings, the audio where Trevor mentioned special accounts. "Your Honour," Rebecca said, "the pattern is clear: systematic financial manipulation and embezzlement. Mr. Stone has documented everything." Marcus stood, handing the judge a tablet. 6 months of surveillance, Your Honour. Every incident documented, every threat recorded, every financial crime traced. Trevor erupted. "This is entrapment. She hired someone to spy on me." "It's called protection, Mr. Blake," Judge Morrison said coldly, "and documentation. Something your wife was smart enough to arrange." "The VIP reserve accounts needed..." Trevor stopped, realised what he'd said. The room went silent. Marcus stepped forward. "Your Honour, that statement matches recordings we have of Mr. Blake discussing embezzlement with his assistant." Judge Morrison looked at the evidence. "Temporary asset freeze granted. No contact order issued. Mr. Blake, you will surrender all electronic devices within 24 hours. "You can't do this," Trevor said to me as court security stepped closer. I looked him in the eye. "You taught me about power. Marcus taught me about evidence." 3 months before that rainy night, Trevor's control tactics had reached their peak. "You need to apologise," he said over dinner, cutting his steak with surgical precision, "for questioning my financial decisions, for your paranoia, for hiring whoever's been following me." He'd noticed Marcus. Not directly, but he'd felt the surveillance. It was making him sloppy, angry, dangerous. "I don't know what you're talking about," I said calmly, while Marcus listened through the wire I wore. "Don't lie to me." Trevor slammed his hand on the table. "I know you've been snooping, asking questions. That stops now." Marcus's voice came through my earpiece later. "He's escalating. We need to move faster." That night I found Trevor in his office, shredding documents. Marcus had predicted this too, but Trevor didn't know about the cameras we'd installed. Every document he destroyed was already photographed, every crime already documented. "He's panicking," Marcus observed, watching the footage. "Panicked people make mistakes." The mistake came 2 weeks later. Trevor tried to transfer our entire savings to an offshore account, but Marcus had a contact at the bank who flagged it immediately. The transfer was blocked. The FBI was notified. "He's going to run," Marcus predicted. "Men like him always have an exit strategy." "Then let's give him a reason to use it," I said. Marcus understood immediately. "You want to spook him?" "I want him to think I'm getting close to his secrets, make him panic, make him do something dramatic." I pulled up our joint account. "I'm going to question a large transfer, publicly, at dinner tomorrow with his colleagues." "That's dangerous," Marcus warned. "That's the point. You'll be watching. The FBI will be ready. Let him think he's teaching me a lesson when really he's walking into our trap." Marcus was right. The night Trevor abandoned me in the rain, he'd already bought a plane ticket. "Target is mobile," Marcus's voice came through my earpiece at 3 a.m, 5 hours after the abandonment. Heading to Columbus International, he'd been tracking Trevor since the rest stop, maintaining visual surveillance while pretending to drive me to safety. "One-way ticket to Costa Rica," Marcus reported. "Paid cash, using his middle name." The FBI was already there. Marcus had called them the moment Trevor left me in the rain. They'd been waiting. The security footage, which Marcus obtained later, was perfect. Trevor at the check-in kiosk at 4 a.m, confident, almost smiling. Then the tap on his shoulder, the federal badge. His face cycling through confusion, rage, then naked fear. "He actually tried to run," the agent told us later, made it 10 feet before we tackled him, kept screaming about his rights, how we didn't understand complex finances. They found $50,000 in cash in his carry-on, my grandmother's jewellery he'd reported stolen, and a laptop with detailed plans for a new identity in Costa Rica. Your husband wasn't just running from you, Marcus told me. He was running from 17 counts of elder abuse, 12 counts of wire fraud, and a federal investigation that's been building for 3 years. The trial lasted 3 weeks. Trevor sat at the defendant's table in a suit that no longer fit properly. Federal custody had taken its toll. His attorney, Richard Blackwood, looked increasingly desperate as witness after witness took the stand. Marcus testified on day 5. Professional, precise, devastating. Mr. Stone, the prosecutor began, how long did you surveil the defendant? 6 months, 24/7 surveillance for the last 3 months. What did you observe? Marcus pulled up his documentation. Every incident catalogued, every threat recorded, every financial crime traced. The defendant showed a clear pattern of escalating abuse, physical intimidation, financial manipulation, systematic gaslighting designed to make Mrs. Blake question her sanity. He played audio recordings. Trevor's voice filled the courtroom. You're too emotional to understand money. You're becoming paranoid. Maybe you need medication for these delusions. Then Marcus dropped the bomb. 3 weeks ago, I documented the defendant meeting with a doctor about having Mrs. Blake involuntarily committed. The courtroom gasped. I felt my blood run cold. I hadn't known about this. Marcus continued. He was planning to have her declared mentally incompetent, take power of attorney, then disappear with all assets. Trevor's attorney objected frantically, but the damage was done. On day 12, Nina Rodriguez took the stand. She looked nothing like the polished woman who'd worn my grandmother's pearls. She'd been granted immunity in exchange for her testimony. He said wives don't read numbers, she told the court. Said she was too emotional to notice patterns. He was wrong. She produced 18 months of calendars, every hotel booking, every gift purchased with stolen funds, every instruction to hide transfers. He told me we'd be in Costa Rica by Christmas, she said. Said he had 17 million hidden offshore. 17 million. The number hung in the air like poison. During recess, Nina approached me in the hallway. Marcus stepped forward, but I waved him back. I'm sorry, she said quietly. I didn't know he was stealing from elderly women. I thought... You thought you were special, I finished. That you were different from me. That you were worth leaving his wife for. She nodded, tears streaming. He showed me your medical records. Said you were mentally unstable. Said he was trapped in an abusive marriage. And you believed him. Until I saw the pattern, the gifts he gave me, your grandmother's jewellery, the trips funded by Mrs. Chen's retirement. I was wearing stolen memories and spending stolen futures. I looked at her, really looked at her. Another woman Trevor had weaponized and discarded. Your testimony will help 17 elderly women get justice. Remember that. But the most devastating testimony came from someone unexpected. Mrs. Patterson, Trevor's secretary of 8 years, took the stand on day 15. I helped him steal, she said simply. He had my grandson's college fund in his control. Said if I didn't cooperate, it would disappear. She documented everything, every forged signature, every elderly client he'd targeted, every lie he'd told. He had a name for them, she said. The grief portfolio. Widows whose husbands had just died. He said they were too emotional to understand their finances. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. Guilty on all charges. The sentencing came 2 weeks later. I sat in the gallery with Marcus beside me. He'd become more than just security. He'd become a friend. Someone who'd seen me at my worst and helped me find my strength. Judge Morrison looked down at Trevor with undisguised contempt. Mr. Blake, you targeted the most vulnerable members of society. You betrayed the trust of clients, colleagues, and family. You showed no remorse, accepting no responsibility. She paused. This court sentences you to 15 years in federal prison without the possibility of early release. 15 years. Trevor would be nearly 50 when he got out. His career destroyed, his reputation in ruins, his carefully constructed life reduced to a federal inmate number. As the bailiffs led him away in shackles, Trevor turned to look at me one last time. Marcus stepped forward, blocking his view. Your services are no longer required, I told Marcus after Trevor disappeared. He smiled. Actually, I have a proposal. Your case has given me an idea. A security firm specifically for women leaving dangerous situations. I could use a partner who understands the financial side. I thought about the 17 elderly women Trevor had targeted, the countless others out there facing the same situation, women who needed protection and documentation. Equal partners? I asked. Equal partners? The story went viral within hours. Your grief portfolio became a trending hashtag as families realised their elderly relatives might be victims too. News outlets picked up the airport tackle footage. Someone had leaked the security video. The image of Trevor being wrestled to the ground at Gate 23 became a meme. When karma has a boarding pass. His country club released a statement distancing themselves. His Harvard Alumni Association revoked his membership. Even the coffee shop where he held client meetings posted his photo with "Banned for life" underneath. But the ultimate humiliation came from an unexpected source. Someone created a website, TrevorBlakeVictims.com, where his victims could share their stories. Within a week, 43 women had come forward. Not all were elderly clients. Some were college girlfriends he'd manipulated. Others were colleagues he'd sabotaged. The site crashed twice from traffic. Marcus monitored it all, documenting everything for potential civil suits. Your husband didn't just steal money, he observed. He stole trust from everyone he touched. 6 months later, Stone and Blake Security had 12 clients. We didn't advertise. Word of mouth was enough. Women who needed to document abuse, who needed protection while building cases, who needed someone to believe them when they said something was wrong. Marcus handled the surveillance and security. I handled the financial forensics. Together we built cases that stood up in court. Trevor wrote me a letter from prison, 4 pages of vitriol blaming me for his downfall. I had it framed and hung in our office. Beside it, a photo from the night at the rest stop. Me standing in the rain, Marcus beside me with his umbrella, both of us looking directly at the camera he'd set up to document everything. The inscription read, "Evidence doesn't get emotional, it gets even." One evening, a woman came to our office, 67 years old, recently widowed, convinced her financial advisor was stealing from her, but with no proof. "Everyone says I'm being paranoid," she said, "that I'm too emotional after losing my husband." I looked at Marcus. He nodded. "We believe you," I told her, "and we're going to help you prove it." She started crying. "No one's believed me in months." "That changes now," Marcus said, pulling out a contract. "Your advisor is about to learn what happens when someone underestimates a grieving woman." I thought about that night in the rain, 41 miles from home. Trevor driving away, confident he'd broken me. He'd thought he was teaching me a lesson about power and control. Instead, he'd taught me that cruelty creates its own destruction, that every action has consequences, and that sometimes the person you abandon in the rain has already hired protection and documented everything. The storm he'd left me in had become the flood that washed him away. If this story of professional justice resonated with you, hit subscribe and ring the notification bell. These stories of calculated karma need to be heard. Share this with someone who needs to know that help exists. That documentation beats intimidation. That sometimes the best response to abuse isn't anger, it's evidence. One question for the comments. If you had $500 a day to hire justice, what would your Marcus Stone document first? Because 41 miles from home, abandoned in the rain, I learned the answer. Justice doesn't arrive by accident. Sometimes you have to hire it.